My note for this video was, I want to meet the real you. And as I was hovering around the start recording button, I suddenly got a little anxious, because obviously if that's my request of you, then it requires me to give you the real me. And I've done a few videos now and done some public speaking and stuff in the past, and obviously worked with quite a lot of people. And I've never, when you press record on a camera, there's a level of confrontation, especially the kind of videos that I'm doing at the moment, which are unscripted and just kind of like, here's a starting point, let's roll. So you get to meet a real version of me right now. So perhaps I should introduce myself. I have spent my whole life trying to figure out how to find joy, like how to live lightly. I had my first experience of some people that, in my perception, lived incredibly lightly and were very joyful, and their timing was great, and their comedic timing was great, and their compassion was phenomenal, and their knowledge of the mind and of reality was phenomenal. And these guys were trainers in the first kind of personal development seminars and so on that I went to and then paid for, to learn NLP and to learn hypnosis and to learn public speaking, and generally just to learn a lot of mindset stuff. And I was 20 years old, I think, 20 years old when I started this, 19, 20, and then went much more deeply into it at 21. And these guys just had, sorry, fruit flies here are crazy at the moment, and they love faces. I don't know what it is, they just love to be around the face. It's not just me, by the way. I don't know, it's not something unique about my scent. So these guys gave me this experience, and if any of you guys are watching, reach out, because it's been a minute. And they were the first people, and this sounds terrible, but aside from my parents, actually, in their respective roles, they were the first people that I truly admired. Little sods. They're so annoying. They're little black guys like this, all around your face. They were the first people outside my parents that I admired in different ways than my parents as well. But I hadn't felt as seen and as accepted and as I'd never had such a permission slip. It was like whatever was here was what was meant to be here. Whatever you're experiencing is what you're meant to experience right now. However you're thinking is fine. Like, it's all good right here. And then going through a lot of processes to learn about the human condition and about the mind, I started to learn a lot more about myself. So these guys gave me actually what inspired me ultimately to be doing this and to write the book I've written and to go on the journey that I've been on. But I got distracted. And I can say almost without any hesitancy at all, he says, while hesitating slightly, that over the last decade, well, no, let's go back to that point. Over the last 16, 17 years since then, I have not fully been myself. The noise of the arguments in the house that I grew up with around money was too loud. And so my focal point, my orientation was towards money as opposed to towards actualization and individuation and, actual alignment with what it is that I feel like I'm here to do, which is what I witnessed when I was in the experience of these guys on stage. I was like, oh, this is my ride. So up until very recently, I've been wearing masks. I've been trying to do other things. I've been trying to be this. I've been trying to get other stuff off the ground. And it's all relevant and it's all still potential for the future. But it doesn't hold a charge right now. It doesn't hold like an obvious way forward right now. You're going to have the entire video. And so all there is to do is this, and then guide whoever feels harmony and resonance with my support. I'm doing a few other things still as well, but this is my primary all around nourish. So that's who I am. In a nutshell, I have lived a life that has asked profoundly deeply, in profoundly painful ways, who are you? And if this isn't going the way that you want it to on the outside, how are you going to respond to it? Are you going to allow your identity to be wrapped up in this thing, this relationship, this business, this relationship and business? Those are the two kind of main pendulums, to speak reality transurfing lingo, that have influenced my life. Am I going to be so identified that when it inevitably fails, because I'm not creating it from the truest orientation within myself, how much of me am I going to allow to crumple at the same time? Or rather, how much of me does crumple? Because that's the real indication as to how much power we've given away. And for me, it kept being a lot. Like, I kept just having rug pull after rug pull in my life. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. Financially, in business, relationships, like nothing was going. And then I perpetually would just feel like I'm starting again. And whilst that's quite a healthy attitude to kind of wake up every morning and embrace, when it's a literal experience consistently and you don't know how to break that pattern, it's exhausting. And I think I'm probably still suffering to a degree from some of the kind of exhaustion from it, although these days I feel a lot more in alignment and don't consciously have any kind of symptoms from it. But massive levels of fatigue and just overwhelm and confusion, just kind of stagnation, like inability, like a gazillion different things I could be focusing on and creating, but no idea how to channel my focus and my attention and my energy into any of them singularly to actually move anything. And actually writing a book was probably one of the main pivotal points that brought, it kind of caught my conscious identity up with what I knew was true about me and was not the characters that I've been playing over the last 16, 17 years since kind of, so a close family friend was like, I was doing all these trainings and things and I was really vibing with it. I was really feeling great. And it was a Christmas, and I said to him, he said, so what are you up to? And I said, I've just done these trainings. I've just come back off a public speaker training and I love it. And I was like, I think this is what I want to do. I just want to help people and support people to align with something beyond the construct of the identity that they believe they are. And he looked at me and he just went, and he's a successful guy, right? Financially, in business. And he just said, Toby, I think I was 21 at the time. He said, you're 21, what the fuck are people going to listen to you about? And if that was like, the vast majority of people, even at 21, I was probably just going to be like, fuck off. Like, doesn't matter. But he was a close family friend. And it was like a dagger to the heart. It was like, oh, mate, bad timing. Like, and it didn't crumple me particularly consciously, but it did zap the idea that I could do what I'd just been witnessing with these guys on stage as a life, as a career. It nipped that in the bud, and I couldn't bring myself back. So I ended up just going into business and spent a decade, building businesses, failing in business, being fucked over in business, learning a hell of a lot along the ride, which is why I'm able to support people at high levels now, just because I've experienced so many of the downsides of misalignment that I can identify in someone's field very quickly, like what's actually out of alignment that is creating whatever saboteur pattern they're seeing in the outside world. But for me, it was, I then just kept on going after this enigma figure of the dollar sign and the pound sign. It was like, all I had in my sights was how to get wealthy. And I never corrupted myself entirely. Like, there's plenty of things that I said no to that would have made sure that I was a lot wealthier then and now than I am. But there were certain decisions that I had for very easy, large sums of money that I just knew I couldn't do it. I just knew that it would corrupt my consciousness in a way that I wouldn't recover from. And these weren't like crazy bad things or anything, but they were things that I know would have affected me. And so I said no to a lot of things along the way, which would have made life for me and everyone around me a lot easier, that's for sure. But I couldn't do it to my own consciousness. It couldn't. I'll give you an example, all right? Uh, I was offered an arms deal at one point. I was kind of loosely working. I was like an introducer. I was trying to broker deals in London. And somebody that I'd introduced to somebody that I was kind of working with a bit, they did a deal. And I get a text message from this guy just saying, hey, meet me at this location. I was like, all right. And he said, listen, I've just done this deal. And it was with this other guy, don't remember any names or anything, who you introduced me to. So here's your cut. Now, it was in this industry. It was an arms deal. And he said, I haven't given it to you yet because I wanted to ask you first, because I know that you're a little bit more sensitive than me. This is his words. Do you actually want to do it? Like, do you want to receive in this way? And I had to think about it for a second, because it was 1.3 million pounds. And I'm 22, 23 years old. But I couldn't say yes. It felt like cheating too much. You know, I think we all have to kind of cheat the system in some way, because if you do it right, you're not cheating anything, you're not cheating anybody, you're just figuring out your own lane and trusting yourself enough to kind of break through the various different psychological and literal barriers that exist on our journeys to self-actualization. But for me at that time, it felt like too much of a cheat. It felt like I was going to get some kind of karmic retribution. Now, given the life I've lived and how many fucking challenging situations I found myself in, perhaps that was a stupid or naive thing to do. The deal was already done. It wasn't as if I was facilitating anything. I was just getting paid for something that had already happened. But at the time, I made the decision to say no. So that's one of several situations I found myself in where the dangling of money was very tempting, but at the same time obvious, and not as tempting as I thought it would be. Bearing in mind, as I said, you know, money was the kind of almost like a daily argument in my household growing up. So it was something that I desperately wanted to solve as a challenge in my family. But I had to do it. You know, I came from a farming family, and farmers are, you know, bread and butter of any society, and some of the most grounded and just real people you'll ever come across. So growing up in that environment, even though I was offered these situations and opportunities that were going to solve the main problem that I grew up with, I still had to do it right. And still that hasn't happened. For me personally, things are good now, things are okay, but I'm nowhere near kind of what I would like and desire for my own life. But I don't let that hold me in any other fixation anymore. You know, it's not something that needs to be overcome in order to progress. Now I'm just good. I'm in my lane. I'm enjoying my work. I'm enjoying the people that I work with. And perhaps you could be one of those. And so coming back to the kind of main theme of this, that's a little bit about me and why I am who I am, why I'm here, why I'm talking to you on this platform right now. We live in a really fucking crazy world, and it's just getting crazier by the day. I don't recommend it, but if you did happen to pay attention to, you know, any social feeds, even though they're curated for your, you know, the algorithm's curated for you, you will likely be seeing some pretty crazy shit happening in the world. And it's all very potentially distracting and very potentially destabilizing. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have compassion for everything that's going on in the world and all the suffering. We absolutely should. We are one. You know, one person's suffering is all of our suffering. And there's a level of agency I feel like we all get to have over ourselves and our worlds that allows us to support others to, you know, be out of chaos and be out of threat and be out of suffering in some way. And I have a feeling, if you're watching this too, that you probably don't have the mental, emotional, or energetic capacity to give all these big global events much of your attention without being severely depleted by it, or enraged by it, or saddened by it. But it's going to deplete you in some way. It's not going to be an uplifting experience. And it's not you either. And so I want to hear from you below. I want to hear, who are you? Who's the you that you discovered when you were younger and you were like, fucking hell, this is it. This is what I love. This is the journey that I want to go on. But something within you or within your environment kind of blocked it and stopped. It's like, imagine this is how it really is. The light is coming from you. If someone or something close to you blocks your true light in some way, the shadow of that then goes out that way and out that way. And it's a big shadow. And as time goes on, the shadow just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. If you don't address that and look at, okay, that's a lot of power that I gave to this external thing, then you and those around you have probably never met you either. They've met a performer, they've met a defender, they've met a warrior, they've met the victim, they've met the one with excuses, they've met the one who consistently puts themselves down. But that isn't who you are, that isn't who any of us are. It's not real, it's just learned limitations. And you have the choice right now, or whenever you choose, whenever you're ready, to let go of those limitations, let go of the identity that was formed through experiences that you didn't necessarily choose consciously. And you didn't have the capacity or the wisdom or understanding to be able to see it a bit more objectively and go, that's not actually something that I should have given as much power as I did to. But now you do. So use it. And if you need a little help, there's a link below to a quiz that will help you highlight exactly who you've been being that stopped you from being who you really are. And what happens as well on the flip side once you alchemize and transmute those limiting frequencies. And then there's another free tool as well on that page to help you bridge the gap. And if you do, welcome. We are Nourish.